with the raise of my arm, I can make about 25,000 people just jump out of their stands and go nuts.
Dartmouth is known to many as one of the best academic schools in the country, but what sometimes goes unnoticed are the athletics at Dartmouth College. Dartmouth has an incredible athletic history, including multiple national championships in the recent decade in rugby and figure skating, which are often overlooked. With 34 varsity sports teams and 27 club teams, it makes up one of the largest percentages of athletic participation in the country. However, the college has never had an official mascot. For many years, the media has dubbed the athletic teams the Indians, but this was criticized for misrepresentation and discrimination against Native people. Natives were outraged by derogatory chants, shirts, and other Indian garb that they thought misrepresented them. Natives were offended by chants at sporting events that made them seem uncivilized. Headgear and other clothes that were stereotypical of Native Americans but not representing them correctly also offended them. This problem grew from a campus to a nationwide debate that affected many high schools and colleges across the country. One school that has been highlighted by the media in this debate is Florida State University in their seminal mascot. In 2005, the NCAA implemented a rule banning Native mascots without the consent of the Native people. After contacting the Native tribe and discussing how they were using the mascot, they were given permission to retain the mascot. This was not the case for most schools. For example, the College of William and Mary were forced to remove the two feathers from their logo for being offensive in 2006. This debate eventually came to an end for Dartmouth when President John Kemeny banned the Indian mascot in 1974. This elimination has had positive effects, including less racism and discrimination, and added awareness in the community, and negative effects such as lack of identity for Dartmouth sports teams and lack of school spirit. The real question is, how do people feel about the Indian mascot here at Dartmouth? First off, what is your name?
My name is Chris Carbonis.
Where are you from originally?
I'm from Cape Cod, lived there my whole life.
Well, my name is Bruce Dutu. I'm from the Houma tribe of southeastern Louisiana, which is right on the coast of the southeastern part of the state. It's a fishing community. I'm also a Dartmouth graduate. I specialize in areas of law and policy that relate to the rights of Indian tribes and Native people.
Matthew Her Many Horses. Originally, I'm from South Dakota. I live on the Rosebud Reservation, and I live in St. Francis.
My name is Kendall Kraus. I'm a freshman from San Diego, California. I am a soccer player at Dartmouth.
My name is Ben Howard. I was born in New York City. My dad is Jewish and my mother is Christian.
So, where are you from originally?
Seattle, Washington.
My name's Adam. I was born and raised in New York City. I am an Egyptian American, and I'm also a Muslim.
We used to be the Dartmouth Indians and then switched to the Big Green due to the offensive name. Do you find it to be offensive to Native Americans?
I actually don't find it to be offensive. I think that a school mascot or a school name is it's like a source of pride.
I can't speak for the Native Americans, but it's not personally offensive to me, and my heritage is Greek, and I don't feel like I would be offended if we were the if we were like the Spartans, or if we were the Athenians or something like that, because it's something that we take pride in as a whole as a school.
I find it not to be offensive at all. To me, it is not, because I find it to be a sign of pride and power.
And the adoption of a symbol, I think, is problematic because it puts one group in the situation of appropriating whatever it decides are the essential features or characteristics or values of a totally separate society, and use and in fact abuse them in a way that is for entertainment value, not for a sort of any more noble purpose than that.
Do you think we should still be the Dartmouth Indians?
I understand the controversy, and I know of some sports teams that are named the Indians, and they catch a lot of flack for it. Though I would support going back to being Dartmouth Indians. I think that it works better as a mascot than this sort of amorphous green that can't be personified very well.
I think we should still be the Dartmouth Indians. School name, their mascot is a source of pride. It's associated with, you know, competing in sports and school spirit, which to me seems like a compliment to the Indians and to the mascot being the Indians. So I find that there's no real justifiable reason why it should be the big green.
Like, we started off as the Dartmouth Indians, so like I think we completely should be that.
Even if it is offensive to Native Americans, do you still think it should be our mascot?
Even if it's offensive to Native Americans, I don't believe it should be the mascot. As an Ivy League school, we have a reputation to uphold. As a large national institution, we also have a reputation to uphold. And there are Native American students who do go to this school, and I find that if it's considered offensive in any way, then it should be changed.
If it has been proven to be offensive, then I absolutely do not think it should be our mascot.
And that the mission of schools of higher learning is to advance a multitude of principles, not just higher education and knowledge, but the production of certain values like respect, respect for diversity, and so forth.
Do you think this issue is still debated around campus, like talked about?
Yes, it's very talked about.
I think that if it were brought up, it would incur debate among students, because I'm sure, especially given the high proportion of Native Americans we have on campus, that there would be some very informed discussions among the students here.
I personally haven't heard this debate, but it could be with certain groups of people.
Do you think it is kind of a debated issue just because we switched it to the big green and that's not really a great mascot? Like something people can identify with? Or
Yeah, I think the debate more comes with not having a mascot, not that we're not the Dartmouth Indians, if that makes sense. So it's more that the big green isn't as good of a mascot as most of the student body would like.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think anybody really has an issue with not being called the Dartmouth Indians anymore, since it has been proven to be offensive.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll admit the big green is about as lame a mascot as you could ever want.
I think a combination of the both. Really, the fact that it's better than the big green is more why I want it, and I justify it by it being the heritage.
I guess, would you find like other mascots, such as like the Cleveland Indians or like the Florida State Seminoles, to be offensive? Or
I would agree that they're equally offensive. If people are offended by Dartmouth, that just a college being called, having mascot of the Indian, then professional sports teams having the same mascot shouldn't be any different.
It's not my call in the sense that I would still be willing to have a conversation with members of the Florida Seminole community and say, do you understand that for the many Native students trying to make their way just to be students, they're going to college like everybody else to be a student. They're not there to be someone's mascot, someone's entertainment figure. Is that the college make a choice. You either want real Native people on your campus, or you want to continue to play or view Native peoples as cartoons, but you can't have both. And I think many, certainly not all, But most of us who have been and gone through Dartmouth since then have carried that kind of perspective that the college should be very mindful of not sliding back in terms of saying there may come a point where this is okay to do that again. Yeah. It's not going to be okay so long as it prevents people from seeing each other as having equal stake and claim in not being someone else's mascot. Mm-hmm. It's as simple as that. Yeah. You know, I would never go to a Jewish person and say, can we be the Dartmouth Jews? And we'll do a bar mitzvah at halftime. That is an appropriation of a people, of a culture, and so forth. If it's okay to do that with Indians, why isn't it okay to do that with Jews or African Americans? It would never happen. And so that's the piece that we're trying to say. There's something within the human psyche that says, no, that's inappropriate. It's inappropriate for a society that purports to be respectful of other people. And somehow, though, with Native peoples, there's a perception that Native peoples and their cultures are part of the public domain. You know, it's a free-for-all. It's like a cafeteria plan where you just go in and help yourself to some of those feathers over there, some of that paint over there, without any attention to what those items mean.
Throughout our research, we have come to the conclusion that this is still a talked about issue on campus. We also have concluded that this is mostly an issue because of the change to the, quote, big green. We found that many of the students who still wanted the Indian as our mascot mentioned that it was better than the big green as a main issue for still wanting it. Also, we have found that many students are unfamiliar with the issue of the stereotyping of the Indian, as well as it being very offensive to Native Americans. However, after explaining the detail of why the mascot is offensive to Native Americans, most of the students we interviewed agreed that it should not be our mascot, but also that the big green should be changed.
I'm a fan of Kegi.
Or Kegi.
Keep Kegi the Keg as our unofficial mascot.
Well, Kegi the Keg is pretty cool.